All right, good afternoon, boys and girls. We're on lesson 103, volume. And here are your objectives for today is to find volume of a rectangular solid. We're also going to choose the appropriate formula to solve the problem. Oh, okay. And anyway, and choose the appropriate unit of measure for a given situation. Here is your math joke for today. Teacher says, be sure you go straight home. And the student says, I can't. I live just around the corner. Oh, what happened in there? Oh, anyway. All right, so that's the joke. Here's your math vocab. Cubic units is your first one, which is units volume. Units volume is measured by, and volume, which is the amount of space an object occupies. Here's your new concept. Okay, so volume, you guys have already kind of been doing a little bit of volume, but here's what we know. All right, when we measure like a line, we measure the length of the line. Okay, when we measure the inside of, say, a rectangle, we measure in square units. Well, when we measure a rectangular solid, we are going to be measuring in cubic units. All right, and this is something you guys have seen before already. And so basically, say these were 1-inch cubes, right? And you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This side was 5 inches long, and then this side is 3 inches long. Okay, so I can measure the area, the flat area, by timesing 5 times 3. But if I wanted to measure the volume, so the stuff that's inside, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the length times the width times the height. All right, so if this was 5 times 3, then we times it by 2. And then we have our volume, which is 5 times 3, which is 15 times 2 is 30. This rectangular solid would be 30 cubic units. All right, the same thing goes for this rectangular solid. Even though we can't see the little cubes, we do know the length of this is 10 inches, the width is 4 inches, and the height is 5 inches. So what I can do is I can times the length times the width times the height, which is 10 times 4, which is 40, times 5, which is 200. And then your answer is going to be in cubic units, all right? So like little cubes, that's what you're measuring by. So if we have 200 cubic units, then that's how you find the volume, okay? Here's your example number 1. Give an example of a unit that might be used to measure the amount of molding around the classroom. So we're talking around a room. We're not talking the area of the room. We're just looking for kind of the perimeter, all right? So one unit that we can use to do this is feet, right? We wouldn't want to measure in inches because inches are a little too small. And we wouldn't measure in miles, of course, because buildings aren't typically a mile long. All right, so we would use a measurement with feet. The amount of carpet in the floor of the room. So we would still use feet, but in this time we're going to be using square feet because we're using the area of the room, right? So it's going to be square feet. Now, if you want to see how much stuff we can put in the room, then you're going to use cubic units, which is volume, okay? And so, and these are your answers. Letter A is feet, number 2, or letter B is square feet, and then letter C is cubic feet. All right, example number 2, we're going to find the volume of this rectangular solid. Like I said in our in the beginning, we are going to multiply this layer, the bottom layer, and how many layers there is. So the length times the width times the height. 2 times 3 will give you 6, right? If you count on top, you can see the 6 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now there's 2 layers of them, so we're going to times it by 2. 6 times 2 is 12. And remember, when we do volume, we do cubic. All right, now we know centimeters. Then we could do centimeters cube or 12 cubic centimeters, and that's what our answer is here. What is the volume of this solid? Again, the volume is length times width times height. I need you to remember that, all right? So this is length times width, which is 2 times 4, which is 8, times the height, which is 24, all right? So 2 times 4, and there's 3 layers, So we times that by 3, and we get 24 cubic inches. Here's example number 4. Emma keeps the quilt she makes in a sturdy cardboard box. She plans to cover the box with fabric. Choose a formula and use this to describe how much fabric she needs. So the formula for the top of the box we're probably going to do is area, right? So we know the top of the box, this measures 36 and this measures 34. So what you're going to do is you're going to do length times width, which is just the top of the box. We're not filling the box up with fabric. So that's going to be 864 square inches, and that's what we get here. And then how much space is inside the box. So we want to figure out the space or the volume of the box. We do length times width times height, which is 36 times 24 times 24. And then we get this 20,736 cubic inches. And 5, again, we're going to do volume. Okay, so what we're going to do is this one is approximate. So you're going to estimate here by either going up or down on using a whole number, and then you times it length times width times height, and then we find that we get 288 cubic inches. All right, the last one. Dion wanted to find the total area of the outside of the Saxon O's cereal box. Okay, so at the end, it's going to ask you to find the approximate area. You're going to take your time and read this, okay? Because what you're going to try to do is you're going to find out each rectangle. So how do I find out each rectangle? So it's length times width, right? So this section is length times width. We know that's 7 and 7/8 and 12 and 1/8. So I'm going to round this to 12 and 8. It shows you right here. And then you're going to find this panel. You're going to find that panel. Find every single panel and then add those areas together. And what we'll find is you have 312 square inches. All right, here is your math for tonight, A through F. If you have any questions, write those in the back, all right? Take your time on this. If you don't understand, that's okay. We can do that in class in the morning. All right, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you guys.